You'll have to probably reshare the link.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm a little rattled right now because I screwed up.
It happens.
Alright, once more. Move that. Paste that. That. There we are. Alright. I'll make sure to tweet this out. And streaming. Okay, we're joined by, so I get your name right, sir, if that's all right.
Daniel Rumanos.
Daniel Rumanos. All right, let me look at some of my questions here on some of these. I guess I'll try and go in as we do. Daniel, as I understand it, you're a writer. What cons have you attended as a guest or as a congoer?
I was a guest actually earlier this year at a couple of things. John Con, which is the science fiction convention at Johns Hopkins University, and also I was a business guest. I had a professional badge at Awesome Con in D.C., where I was scouting for talent for a possible upcoming movie based on my writing.
Oh, have you worked on a movie before? I didn't know if you were on a, what's it called, Internet Movie Database.
It's just something I'm working on now, actually, with possibly with some connections I got through First Comics News. The writer of that is the filmmaker himself in Las Vegas, and he has some connections. He's talking about possibly getting the actor Eric Roberts to play the villain in the film, and some things along those lines. He's also
like from Hit,
a
wait, Eric Roberts from Hitman's Run. Eric Roberts.
sure, yeah.
Oh,
Actually, I
Julia
know.
Roberts' sucky brother.
okay, wow.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Oh, baby steps, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I'm so glad that you could make it, Brony. I never would have been like, yeah.
I just got back in the door, but
Oh no,
I'm
you're
here.
you're definitely fine. I don't know. Just after I screwed up real quick, I'm trying to fucking scramble to get everything right here. Um, let's see. So besides that, Mr. Romanos, just how many books or pieces of content have you published? This is a whole new world. We'll get to the nitty gritty in a minute here. Like, bit more off topic here. Is there like licensing that goes into that sort of thing?
Like the film adaptation, there would be legal things to get through so far as that goes, and also we were talking about comic book adaptation, but I would probably
Well, I mean, I've never published a book myself, and with my atrocious writing, we can all be happy about that. But I don't like. Is there any like actual things that you have to sign to get a book published, or specifically? I don't know anything about that, and I was just like, well, this would be something.
there are there are all kinds of ways to do it these days, from the traditional, contract with a big time publisher to a lot of independents or self publishing, or as I do it, I do it completely electronically for now, because really it makes the audience huge, at least potentially. So my suggestion to any writer who wants their things to be done is put some things on the internet and make it available, and that's how to get attention to it. So that's the way I did it. Actually, I've been publishing mine as an ongoing series of short stories since 2012 on the website, and I've also published some on the side, a few magazines, but some print, some on the
Who's
internet.
run your stuff? Which magazines?
Honeysuckle Magazine, which is an arts journal in New York City. Another one called Sicklit, which was, I don't know if that was still published or not. That was a few years ago, another independent magazine, a couple like that, and a few websites that take original stories.
So, I guess I'm gonna have to try and reword this on the fly here, since when I started the beginning of the podcast that you gave me to me as a reference here, you worked with things that I guess we could call them the paranormal entertainment, perhaps.
I've been kind of peripherally involved with that, actually, as a before I really went public as a writer. I was a carnival worker and a stage magician, illusionist. And in the tradition of that, much like Houdini did in his day, I did a lot of debunking of claims of the paranormal and the supernatural. I did some investigation, what they call paranormal investigations myself. And
so from
what
I gathered from that, and I must admit I did skim, so feel free to correct me, that you'd performed or potentially, I don't want to use the term, I guess, impersonated an exorcist, an archbishop, was that it?
Yes.
A Satanist. Of the roles that you've had, what got the most visceral backlash from, like, have you been attacked for any of these roles, or?
Well, you see, in the 1990s, I was employed by Bob Larson Ministries. Bob Larson is a supposed evangelist who does exorcism crusades, and he needed someone to play the part of a satanic high priest who was also a sex vampire, who he wanted to appear at his rallies and challenge him, and he would, cast out the devil. And it happened that his secretary was like a third cousin or something like that to a close friend of mine. And he said, "Oh, I know the exact guy to do that." He knew some of my stage work as an illusionist and so forth. So he suggested me, and I ended up playing the part actually for several years, both in Bob Larson's rallies across the country and on his radio show, which was on for years, syndicated nationwide.
So you're not a satanic priest. You just play one at rallies.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
I used to.
All right. So here's
something I would do now.
Here's the good news. As a Catholic, I'm like, yeah, but Bernie Inspector is a Satanist, so he's probably annoyed. So
I'm demonic, but yeah, either. Well, I just like you. Well, I mean, like I'm one of those guys who's like, what? You can't go legit casting. You couldn't have found a real demonic person to. I mean,
well, I'll tell you one thing about Bob Larson. There's nothing legit about Bob Larson at all.
Oh,
and I worked with the man for years. And as an old carny, I have respect for him because he's like a religious P.T. Barnum to the core.
Okay, wow, that's a
good way to put it. Yeah.
All right,
really good way to put it.
No. As we were going through your stuff, Daniel, well, I don't know if we should just rush right into this. There's only one sticking point.
Go for it.
Yeah. I'll put it this way. You seem to be a rather humorous person that probably would have been easy to get along with, if not been for one itty bitty teeny weeny thing. Perhaps. Well, here's the catch-22.
Okay. Are you? Yeah.
I'll put it to you this, like, I know you can't tell me if it's a work that you're an advocate for minor attracted persons, because that would kill your business. So I don't know what to say here that would be polite, but I have reason to believe, based off of your past experiences, that might be a potential possibility. And I don't know what to say next after that.
Well, would you say you're the Hebephiles Doctor Who, as it were?
Yeah. The example I would have used on YouTube, which doesn't hold up anymore, and I've been like, oh, it's like Amos Shee, except for that guy turned out to be a little bit more legit than he put on. Here, I'll get straight down to some of the more deeper questions on this whole matter here. You talked about kids not being able to consent, for example, being tantamount to slavery. What other sticking points as far as I guess youth rights would you like to weigh in on? Do you feel that people are should be allowed to maybe go fight and die for their country earlier, vote a little bit earlier, drive the car a little bit earlier, or is it just like the sticking point around?
Well, I don't want anyone to have to die. Voting certainly. I mean,
Okay, no.
Younger people.
Well, the only reason I bring that up is I remember seeing it on either in a history book or something like that, where I was like, it's a hell of a thing that you can go off and die for your country before you could drink, and I'm like, that is a really good line.
Very true, very true. And also, young people, they certainly should be able to vote younger if they have to live in the society that tells them what to do. I think certainly they should have more of a say in it.
Well,
I'm in no way a political expert, so I don't ask me to even begin to work out the problems of that.
No, I understand, but let's just off the top of your head, because I'm sure that some people are curious. Just for example, how old would you let's say you've got the magic 8-ball, so to speak, that you could just roll out there and your will be done. How old do you feel it would be for people to drive? Are you happy with 16?
Oh God, there's some people much older than that shouldn't be driving.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I
was
know.
about to say.
Yeah, I know.
I was about to say they raised that up to 18 in California, and it didn't help at all.
I noticed...
It's actually 15 in Maryland where I am. Well, you can get the permit.
You can get an agricultural license.
Right.
15. You can get a farming.
This is more of a joke when I'm like, I was like, freedom rights for kids, and he's like, well, I want to live too, because if we let him start driving too young, I don't know, maybe my life expectancy will go down.
Or maybe it'll thin out their ranks a little. Who knows?
Oh Jesus. Thoughts and opinions of anyone else on this show other than myself don't reflect the channel. Okay. Damn it, where's my alcohol?
Who needs another Vietnam when you just let them drive at 13?
Oh, God. Well, see, yeah, look, everybody likes freedom for everybody, but as you just, perhaps we've all discovered there a little bit, there's certain freedoms that might not be in the best of the interests of the youths,
Or, we're just people at large.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Like, the first milestone that you really has as a teenager heading into being adulthood is the license. That's why I just...
First pair of roller skates. I mean, license. Totally what I was going to say, Anthony.
Okay, we'll do another one. Where do you feel that, surely if people, whether I'm happy with it being at 18, for example, for age of consent, if you were to lower, that sort of thing, where would you put, say, voting at the national level, at what age? Since we're trying to, show, freedom and, youth...
Autonomy for the
Yes!
youth.
That's exactly what I'm looking for here.
Voting, well, in the first place, if they were going to do that, they would have to start education more intense earlier, I would say, to make sure they understand government. But if we're going to say that, then we come to the point, do the most adults who are voting have the slightest idea what government is? And probably not. So that's really not even a point either. So once again, I'm not a political expert, but I would say lowered at least a few years.
So
how many is a few?
Yeah, 16.
If you
15.
took a few cookies off of a cookie out of the cookie jar, how many would that be?
Yeah.
Well, for now, maybe 16. I would say.
Okay. So that's a couple.
Yeah,
at least when they're on the high school level. I mean, God, it should be educated enough to vote by them. But as I said, I don't think most adults are.
Well, that's true, but I am trying to find, measure, again, milestones into adulthood. And I was like, well, voting is something, and that's not something that everyone's necessarily going to do. But the people who are passionate, because I know when I was in high school, they bombarded the hell out of you with politics. And I'm like, it sure would be nice if we could...
Oh, yeah, my government teacher was not fucking playing around. I remember this guy. He did not, he wanted to make sure we understood what this was about when we were done with his class. And he did a pretty good job of it, I think. If I had been asked to vote at 16, or 17, I'd think I'd have been ready to make that choice. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
I certainly was not. It certainly was no, and that's California public schools. So
Well, okay. I guess we'll try and find a better cross
They
comparison.
kind of drove it home a
Yeah.
lot, is all I'm
We're-
saying.
If, like, since you don't feel that those are quite tantamount, age of consent, would you line that up perhaps with, like, drinking? Or maybe something else? Like, I'm just trying to come up with, like, an equivalency here.
Vaping. When are you too
Yeah.
young to vape? How young is too
I-
young
I-
to vape?
I have no idea.
And keep in
Okay.
mind, all the kids are vaping already anyway, so it's not like you're talking about something that is like, this isn't about whether you're stopping anyone from doing anything. They're all already doing it. So
Yeah.
how young? You get how there's no stakes in answering that question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to build you up to, like, stronger ones where necessarily, like, you could walk back, but we're trying to get a feel for where your political stances here are before, you know, there's some people out there who are definitely happy to just go, I know what you're about, and I'm giving you an opportunity to paint the board yourself.
My political stance is simply governments should stay out of people's personal lives. Period.
So that's
my
Stay off
political stance.
so a stay off my lawn style libertarian.
okay.
No,
Well, I don't want to label myself.
no,
but-
I'm just
sure.
trying to characterize it somehow. You can call yourself whatever you want, dude.
All right, so all right, at least I have a vague idea that basically you're against freaking, I guess, big federal government. I'm gonna gather, right?
Do you have a
Sure,
fortified
sure.
basement in your home?
No, God, no.
Okay.
I mean entirely personal lives. I mean, they should just stay out of people's personal lives.
Okay.
Like I know a lot of conservatives would agree with that, but I would say yes, that also includes abortion, and then conservatives will go out the door. So it goes both ways.
Okay, so there
They
is a
stay out of people's personal lives. That's all.
so yeah, as opposed to you're just staying consistent with this complete, well, for a lack of a better term, centrist view.
I suppose.
Well, I feel like we're making somewhat progress here. He's just very.
Oh, Anthony gave you a way more fair assessment than I just did, so I think we're making progress, dude.
Oh, I don't know.
I noticed here you stated you have numerous gossip websites and other people on social media bashing. You know, I've definitely seen the social media, but as for other
Sure.
as for other gossip websites, you don't even have a kiwi farm thread, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, who got you? Yeah, who got you?
I've seen a paragraph or two, but like there doesn't seem to be a massive backlash out to get you. How do you say the last name again?
Romanos.
Romanos. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
There's let's see. There was that
Yeah, no,
local newspaper, the city paper in Baltimore, which was a tabloid.
Wait,
which
so a
did that
local
article.
print tabloid panned you? Which one? What were
So
they
this
called?
was back in 2012. It was called City Paper. The legit newspaper here, Baltimore Sun, bought it out a few years later, and it ceased publication. But you can still find that article on the Baltimore Sun website.
Nice.
Daniel Rumanos doesn't need a day job. They've titled it for some reason. I have no idea what
Well,
that means.
you're doing kind of an online gig, and people naturally resent people trying to make.
I
So, yeah.
I suppose. Anyway, that was that. But
I already read this.
yeah.
Actually,
For-
this was the first thing I read about you.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, take it, Brony.
Yeah. So I actually did read this earlier today. I had seen this article. So this was once again, like Anthony, I was just kind of skimming it, but I was like, oh, this guy's he's made the papers.
Okay.
Though here's the thing, the way that this looks when you click on it now, it's like, oh, the Baltimore Sun, but it wasn't really the Baltimore Sun when they wrote the article. August 8th,
the Baltimore Sun
2012.
bought City Paper. I know Baltimore Sun wouldn't write something like that. They're a legit paper, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They would be worried about a lawsuit if they wrote something like that, but they would buy out an old tabloid, put stuff on their website, because then they could say we're not responsible for that.
Oh.
But I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rouge, you're a bit more include. We're not as patent as sci-fi aficionados as Rouge. You had some interesting comparison between Mr. Ramos. Is that it? Did I finally get it right? Or completely?
Romano.
Romanos.
Romanos. I am just.
Come on, Anthony.
Yeah. No. I'm
Like
just
rum. You know, you
Humor.
drink it.
Romanos.
Like
Yes.
Anos, the handsome fake.
Romanos. Got it. So yeah, feel free to. Would you like to ask about his inspirations? Go ahead.
Get it
Your
together.
character is seeming a lot like a knockoff Doctor Who. Was it any inspiration towards your writing?
Sure, a little bit. Yes, I grew up with Doctor Who, but I
With
wanted
your,
to
what was
take
it?
it in my
turn
own
screw?
direction, really. What?
What was
Oh,
it? Your
transonic turn screw. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have to watch it with the legalities for sure.
Okay, so that was okay. Legit, that seemed like naming a docky to me. Like I sell docky pillows. You can't call them the characters they actually are. So we come up with a funny name that sounds like for example, here's Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. No, that's Boneless from How to Make Your Dragon Good.
Sure.
So you were doing kind of like a treatment like that. It wasn't like this is a completely original idea. It was so people would know you were. Yes, it's a sonic screwdriver.
It's in part a somewhat of a parody, but really more of an analog character, I would say.
Right, so it's an analog thing, so you feel like, well, it's different enough that I'm not in trouble, but we all know what I'm talking about, kind of thing. Interesting.
Sure,
I feel like there's a lot of that in your writing.
Speaking of your writing, you had what were those characters again, Rouge?
Dude,
I forget the name.
One of those was legit funny.
Pedophilia, hebophilia.
No, Amber Alert, dude.
Alert.
I don't even get the
Like,
Amber Alert one.
There was
That
LollyCon too.
was legit funny. Like Amber Alert, like as much as the connotations of that are like as bad as this crap seems, like looking at it on its surface, I was like, no, like Amber Alert, that's legit funny. Are you trying to be funny, or are these just like, are you trying to be funny, or are you trying to be clever?
Trying to be funny, really.
Okay,
Actually,
all right.
I mean, we talk about Doctor Who. That's kind of a takeoff on the James Bond characters, Bond girls, Pussy Galore, that sort of thing.
Right, no, I get it. They're Bond girls, but Bond girls are women. No, there's supposed to have like Bond girl style names.
I'm far more honest. Mine are actual girls.
Okay.
Yeah, you're honest, all right.
So wait a minute. You mentioned
instead of actresses who are actually in their 20s or later, but have so much makeup on because they desperately want to look like teenagers.
Well, I mean, doesn't everyone want to look like their teenage self? Not me. I had terrible skin and was 40 pounds overweight. I don't know anyone who wants to look like their teenage self. Fuck that. Couldn't grow a beard to save the life of me. Bullshit.
Okay. I just flatlined completely mentally.
Yeah, like I still hang out with some girls who went to my high school, and I'm just like, man, they are way hotter without those braces, dude. Way hotter.
No, each to his own taste.
Well, okay, so you mentioned you mentioned a live action something that you were hoping to work on, correct?
Possible film, sure.
Oh, don't you feel that there might be some potential pushback with some of the younger actresses? Are there going to be like perhaps are you going to be rescripting some of those names, or is that going to pop up on a Netflix thing someday? We
haven't cast it yet, but
okay, I'm just imagining
whoever was in the film would be whoever was best for the role, whether they were same age as the character or older or whatever. I mean, there are a lot of actresses in their 20s that play teenage roles in films.
All right, yeah.
So I don't know.
Right. I was just imagining
that part wouldn't be up to me, really.
Okay, I'm just trying to sit there and imagine. I'm like, so this is what's going to be on Mystery Science Theater 10 years from now.
Right. I'm like,
I wish.
With Julia Roberts' crappy, like, yeah, God, I wish Joel would riff over my crappy movie, like. Something good, like something bad enough to be good enough to get noticed. Okay, I mean, is it a joke or is
Well,
Is sexualizing kids in fiction okay? I'm just got a lot I'm trying to wrap my head around here right now.
well, okay. Is it? Yeah. Let me try and re-ask that in one. When you have like controversial characters like that, for example, are you trying to like make a Family Guy, Mr. Hibbert joke, or is there like a political message behind it?
Yeah, how much of this joke is a joke on the square? Like that's exactly. Yeah, I get
Here,
yeah.
I got a better one. You've ever heard the line, not just a member of Hair Club for Men, I'm also the president. Are you saying you're just the president and not a member? Is what you're trying to say, maybe?
All right, well, let's just look at it in context. Going back into, and pardon me if this sounds completely ridiculous, but I'll get to the point in a minute. Going back to medieval legends.
Okay.
Let's say
I'm
the
with
legends
you.
of King. Let's say the legends of King Arthur. When they're rescuing these gorgeous maidens
Oh, the
from the
damsels
evil,
in distress. You're
the
pulling this
evil.
one out. Rude.
Yes. Think. How old were those girls in a time when girls generally got married at about 12 or 13?
Yeah, I don't think people lived past 37 either.
Some people did. A lot of people did. Now I hear
don't
that
know,
all
how
the
old
time,
did
and
you, like-
that's really not really even true. There were plenty of
Okay, I don't
elderly
know. I was
people in
pulling
those days.
that out of my
Okay,
ass.
Not
I
as
was
many,
about
not
to
as
say
many
there's.
today, but people didn't think that that 35-year-olds were elderly.
Oh, just for example here, sir. There's a lot of things that we don't do anymore. For example, I was just watching a couple of videos on the bubonic plague. We don't have chamber pots anymore, and because
Dude, the average age of someone in medieval times is 31.3 years. I
Oh,
just looked it
yeah,
up.
hold it. Okay.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
but
But
with
there
that,
were still people who lived longer, and
I get that.
so
I get
they
that.
didn't think that a 30-year-old was elderly. They just
No, what
realized
I am
that
saying is that
there were fewer.
lifespan was generally thought of as much more finite in that time. That's my point.
Okay, but people didn't think about that when they thought about
Are you
that looks
sure?
attractive. That's what I want to sleep with. They didn't think about that.
Hold it,
Are
Bernie.
you
They
sure?
didn't think
Hold
about,
it, Bernie.
and I better do it now before I'm going to die when I'm 31. They didn't think about that.
Yeah,
I
Bernie.
think they
there's-
Any
did,
more
dude.
than they do now.
All right, so Bernie, we're also we're also citing back to like ye olde, Europe, where some of those ages seem to be about that same area still.
Right, fine. Let's
Well,
let's
actually,
do more
that wasn't the point.
Dickensian
That wasn't the
timeline.
point I
All
was
right,
getting
fine.
to. That wasn't the point I was getting to. The point is
Average
those
age
stories are
in
still handed. Those
steam.
stories are still handed to children as something positive to read.
Oh, are we? For example, are you? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you mean like, say, for example, Romeo and Juliet?
Sure.
The bards.
Juliet, according to the original story, she had not yet seen 14 years. That's usually taken as meaning she was 13. She may have been 13. She may have been 12.
But
she wasn't yet 14.
Yes, I understand.
As for Romeo, if you read the story carefully, Romeo was much older than Juliet. He was not 13. He was probably not 18. He was more likely mid-20s.
Be that as it may, from what I understand, and anyone's free to look this up, I thought Romeo and Juliet was a tragedy, not a romance. I thought it was more of a cautionary tale.
It was a romantic tragedy about what happens to people when their natural feelings are suppressed. I think it's a very good metaphor for certain things that are going on.
Yeah, dude, but no
today.
one was telling Romeo that he couldn't go bang her because it was because she was 13. They were saying it because there was a feud going between the two families.
Yes.
No, it was always an excuse
It was
for telling people what to do in the.
kind of a
telling
Hatfields and
people what to do
McCoy
in
sort
the-
of scenario.
Yes.
Well, there's always an excuse when it comes to telling people what to do in their personal lives, but it's never a good thing.
Wait, so you're saying that everyone around Romeo was actually thinking she's too young for you, but instead of just saying that,
hold it,
they
it.
lampshaded
No,
it.
hold
when
it,
it's
hold it,
because
Brony.
she's Capulet.
No, Bernie, he
No, her
literally
age
said it was
wasn't an issue then.
No, yeah, hold it, Brony. He literally said it was an issue of telling him what to do in his personal life.
Okay.
Now, you could infer from that there's certain things that maybe should or shouldn't be. I guess that'd be the argument he'd prefer to have. I guess.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah.
All right, no, sorry.
Well, tell you what. All
let
right, so we've
me wind it back a little
let's
bit here.
well, is there any other stories besides, say, Romeo and Juliet, for example? Since I know that argument's been...
How about let's just stay in the present now?
Okay, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
I have a friend who works at the corporate office of a certain chain of convenience stores.
Okay.
She informs me that the only pornographic magazines that sell in any volume in this age of the internet, when most people don't buy those magazines, are Barely Legal and Naughty Schoolgirls. One example. Let me give you a couple other ones.
I understand.
In sex shops,
So-
the role-playing costumes that outsell the others by a large amount are schoolgirl costume, cheerleader.
Yeah,
and other
cheerleader's
ones
the
that
number
are-
one seller
hold
as far
it.
as
Other,
I'm
ones,
glad-
other ones that are stereotypical underage girl.
Well,
Let me
hold
go-
it,
a
hold
couple
it.
More,
No,
couple more examples, if you don't mind.
No, you put
Right.
that out there for Barely 18, and this is the argument that I tell to people. I tell this to pedo hunters and pedophiles alike. When people say barely legal, I like to use a football analogy. Here's inbounds, here's out of bounds. And if someone goes, well, they're really close, one, you get the point, one, you don't get the point.
Well, that's why I wanted to get to the other example.
Okay.
A lot of people have heard this one. The most popular online porn category is teen.
teen.
And all of the actresses in that are supposedly 18 plus. And I'll say they are. I'm not saying anyone's breaking the law here, but if you ever watch any of those, which I may have done for research purposes, you will.
That was me more laughing at you as a man, not more than that. But go ahead.
That was amazing.
They are often
This fucking
being
guy.
portrayed. They are often being portrayed as much younger, and you wonder, since teen is
amazing.
the most popular category, that if, and I'm not saying this is correct, but you have to wonder if
okay, good,
preteen
dude.
was legal
got
as a
to
category.
May
With
I?
Okay, well, hold on.
Okay, dude. So you understand the market is there. Are you the president of Hair Club for Men, or are you also a member?
Well, no, I think
Yeah,
we've
no,
built up
but
to this
like,
perfectly. So let me ask this then.
Why don't you ask the actual question that you want to ask?
I'd like to.
I'm not going to sue you.
All right.
Ask.
What's your age of consent that you would like it to be?
I don't think that age of consent has any reason to exist. That is
Jesus
the government.
Oh,
All right.
Okay,
I
let me
wanna-
explain why.
Friend,
Let me
I
explain
softballed
why.
the shit out of you, and you shot your foot off. That's all you, pal.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Does Leo want to come over?
I don't think he's around. Good luck.
Oh man.
Do you know where the age of consent comes from?
Go ahead. Hit me with
yeah,
it.
I'd love your take
As
on
understood today, the age of consent was started by feminists in the early 20th century, specifically to stop military men from taking advantage. This is not my words. This is what they said. Military men from taking advantage of young girls who hung around military bases. That's where the age of consent comes from. It was a feminist attack on male sexuality. That's what it is. Now, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be laws against abuse. There certainly should be laws against abuse, against taking advantage of a young person or a not so young person.
Well, hold on.
There should be definite laws, but age of consent that is something that did not exist prior to the 20th century
Hold it.
and was started for a very bad reason.
I am
very sexist reason.
No, okay. I am a very patriotic person. My father fought for fucking the United States in the Vietnam War. I have full respect, whether I like someone or not, if they serve this country. That said, hold it. That said, we can entirely entrust enlisted men to be on their super bestest behavior around. You see, now I can't say that because basically, Veroni, you want to hop in here? I feel that. Yeah. I feel that a little guidance and
No,
Well,
no, you
I
didn't,
would
you
say,
didn't let
like-
me finish about the age of consent.
All right, go
though.
ahead,
You
take
asked-
it.
You asked me what I would want it to be.
yes.
I don't think it has any validity as a law, but if people think that it's a good idea, if there should be an age of consent, the consensus of the public, okay, because that's what democracy is about. But it should make sense and it should go along with nature. So I would say if there's going to be an age of consent, it should correspond with puberty.
So,
You're saying 13.
so if there's grass on the field, what do you is the
I mean, Jesus, even Italy's 14. Christ, son.
right? I mean, no, it's just we're bronies, so just like in Equestria, if there's a mark on that cutie,
All
then-
right, he's not gonna get that.
No.
rein in your nerd, please.
All right, we're yeah.
Is he saying 25? Hateful. I don't know what you want about.
Lio's shutting off his game and then he'll be joining.
Okay, fantastic.
I think actually that people don't understand what the age of consent is now. Everyone thinks it's 18, and it's,
okay,
it's
how
really
does-
not 18
all right,
in very
so-
many places.
Oh, hold it.
How is setting a standard for how our service people are gonna behave themselves a sexist law? I'm just
All
trying
right,
to. I'm
hold
just
it.
trying to
No,
figure that.
I'd like to
out.
readdress his whole point.
Because
Yeah.
it was specifically done by radical feminists as an attack on male sexuality
Okay.
and as an attack on the military, to be honest.
Okay.
I know.
You were mentioning something. Crap, I lost my thought. Fuck, you got me. Yeah, age of consent. The 3 ages of consent at the state level are 16, 17, and 18. If I'm wrong, feel
That's
free.
at the state level.
Yes.
According
However,
according to federal law, though,
if you cross
in the
state
United
lines
States-
in pursuit of sexual intercourse, it's a hard 18.
Right. yes.
Oh, okay. So that's that. I've gotten it right. It doesn't seem many people online. I just naturally assume for the purposes of that are usually breaking that top one.
But in most states, the majority of states, it's the age of consent is 16. You can't cross state lines to have sexual relations with someone younger than 18.
Yes.
The average worldwide age of consent is 14. It's 14
Leo!
the age of consent is 14 in Germany and in Italy. The age of consent is 15 in France. It's 13 in Japan.
Oh,
It's 12 in Mexico City and the Philippines.
hold it. Yeah, I'm going to readdress that Japanese one. There's a minor island that's somewhat unpopulated where it's 13, but by and large on
That
the
is
mainland.
no. People say all this nonsense constantly, and you'll find all over the internet. In Tokyo, cultural center of Japan, it is 13.
Dude,
Period.
yeah.
Now, there
Well,
are other laws. There are other laws throughout Japan, as there should be, to prevent abuse. But you can have in Tokyo consensual sex with a 13-year-old, and then
No,
and
dude,
no matter
it's
how many
16.
times people claim that's not true.
Hold on. Number one, that's inaccurate. The
Yeah,
13
it's
no,
not
hold on,
right.
hold
That
on,
is not
hold on,
inaccurate.
Hold on, Brony Inspector. Yes, it is inaccurate in the way you're putting it forth because the age of consent being 13 only goes to a certain age. A 30-year-old cannot have a sexual relationship with a 13-year-old.
Nonsense. That is absolute nonsense.
Prove it.
How? You want me to go to Japan and
We're on the internet. You could look up citations to laws rather somewhat reasonably easily to some degree. Maybe not finding the exact court cases, but you should be able to find the basic laws.
where are you finding yours?
Well,
You
okay,
just made a statement. The statement
The
that
age of consent
a 30-year-old.
in Japan, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on.
Can you
All
post a
right.
link so we could go
The
look?
age of consent in Japan is 13 years old. The age of consent is the minimum age at which an individual is considered legally old enough to consent and participation in sexual activity. Individuals aged 12 or younger in Japan are not legally able to have consent. Statutory rape law is violated when an individual has consensual sexual activity with a person under the age of 13. At 13, Japan's age basis of consent is considered lowest. However, the de facto is 16 to 18. And this is concerning their relationships there. This is not concerning the 30-year-old having 13.
Yes. No. 16 to 18. Those are in different Japanese. They're called
Right,
prefectories there. What we
okay.
call state.
They're called
Similar to what we
Prefectures,
call.
dude. I know. All right.
I got the idea.
Bro, this is just like the 17, 16, 18 in the United States thing. It's just, it's the same exact concept.
No, it's not. In Japan, those are laws against what? Those are laws against fornication, which in Japanese culture would be defined as sexual relations outside of a committed relationship, preferably marriage. But in Japanese culture, it has more to do with permission of the parents. If the parents approve of the person, perhaps that their daughter is dating, then it's really not a problem.
Leo left.
Oh, I'm
No,
right
he's still
here.
Oh, Leo's here. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Well, and you know what? I was gonna jump in. I was like, I understood the 13 thing was only like still there in case like teenagers had to get married because they was pregnant on accident. That like they kept that legal for just like practical reasons.
Who could heavens think they can do that here?
Yeah.
In fact, in most cases, in most cases in America,
hang on,
I'm sorry to say, and you're going to swear this.
Yeah, let me just.
God, I thought I was having an interview with. Okay, I booked this interview to be with one person, not to be bums rushed. You people mind?
No, I'm not gonna get called the goon. I had a question, dude. I if you don't feel like answering it, that's fine. Just talk to Anthony.
Ask the
Dude,
question.
I
dude,
muted
that's
myself.
fine. You can just talk to Anthony then. I'm done.
Okay. What was your question, Bree, so I could ask it? Okay, breathe. Yeah.
Hey,
Oh, all right.
goodbye.
Oh, did he leave?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Funny that he leaves right after I post a cross-reference chart from an actual Japanese lawyer.
I was about
I
to
mean,
say.
he's
It's funny that his phone number is accidentally showing on Skype to everybody on YouTube. But anyways,
that's super funny. In case anyone, I sure hope nobody bothers this guy.
Okay, real quick, stop.
Hey, he wanted to do it this way.
So the chat is aware. According to the cross-reference chart here, if you are under the age of 13 in Japan and you have a relationship with somebody who is under the age of 20, between the ages of 20 and 14, it is a felony tried as an adult under juvenile court. If you're over the age of 20, it is absolutely a felony.
That's
all
right.
I gotta agree here from the chat where I remember seeing Super Duper Hooper Trooper. It's like, yeah, this guy's not so bad, and there was a point in the stream, and I'm sitting there saying that's probably not gonna last, and it didn't.
Who even was this clown?
All right, so
He's
he's
a Doctor Who fanfic writer and huckster from
So there's a YouTuber who goes by the
Maryland
name
or something.
Hold it. There's a YouTuber who goes by the name of Cass Warfox. He's a furry that hunts pedophiles. And originally, when I noticed Cass was having it out with this guy, and I said, hey, look, you could come on my show if you're scared to come on Cass's. And he ignored me for a while, and eventually he reached out to me in my comment section. And I said, yeah, sure, we could be professional about this. When I was looking through his things, because he's done things like impersonating members of the clergy or pretending to be a Satanist or an exorcist. Right. My thought was, you know what? Maybe he's just a 2-bit huckster. Maybe it's just a con job. Maybe this is him really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Because I talked to him briefly, and I was like, he could just. I'd hate to be a dumb mark.
I feel well, and you know what? And every time, and that's the thing. Like you said at the beginning, you're never gonna reveal to us if this is a work, but there's a way. There's ways for you to show us that this is a work. But at the end of the day, here, man, if I were like the guy who sold Dockies, and I was like, I don't want those things on my bed, like.
Yeah,
you might not want to buy a Dockie from me.
Okay, hold on, real quick. RL Blaze Madness, if you got something to say to me, son, feel free to hop on and tell me to shut up on your own. Maybe you ought to shave that beard first, though.
Oh, Christ. I thought it ended the way I thought it would end.
I'm more curious about why you guys...
Leo was going to get him. I didn't think I was going to piss him off.
I think Leo set it up. So what you were asking, Leo?
I was asking, I'm surprised you guys even needed me on for this. It seemed like a pretty easy win.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
when I was researching him a bit, there was enough interesting things where I was like, God, I sure hope I'm not too chummy with the guy. And I had to, after writing down a couple of questions, I had to be like, okay, kind of bump up against them. Make sure I'll bring Brony Inspector.
Yeah.
I've even told him, I was like, hey, look, if you go a little bit off the rail there, that's fine.
I no, like I didn't come here to be bombarded with bombarded.
Let me
A
take a look at
bombardment
this.
is this.
Take a look at this Skype chat here.
Man,
I can't see anything.
It's just
above it.
it's his phone number. That's it. I had to
Well,
sign. Yeah.
I don't even see the phone number on Skype. So
Oh well.
maybe just you can see it, Anthony. I think you're the only one who can see his phone number because I
hey,
can't see it.
were you
I
interacting with
can.
this guy on Twitter before all this?
He was in the comments section to have to hunt down the freaking video, but yeah, we were talking there, and then we did Facebook DMs. He gave me his number, almost lickety split off of Facebook,
That's nuts.
and I was like sitting there thinking, dude, I don't know you. You can call me immediately. I don't.
Okay, now hold
I
on,
think
hold
he
on,
just wants
hold
the
on.
publicity.
Was his purpose here to play devil's advocate and argue about age of consent, or is this something that he actually thinks should be repealed because he has an intent?
So okay, he wanted to promote his shit, and basically, I had him on. We did a little freaking back and forth about his stuff, trying to be cool, and I was like, all right, so let's get to hear about the nitty and the gritty of all this. Eventually, at some point in time, when we mentioned age of consent, he just freaking went the whole thing. He's like, his argument was, I feel that the government shouldn't be involved in our private lives. And he's like, I don't feel that there should be any kind of age of consent based off of the fact that this is something that women's suffragists basically put on.
He's convinced that feminists created age of consent.
Which
Oh,
I'm
so
like,
he's a moron then.
Yes.
I was about to say, I don't really care why it's there, but I'm like, I'm not offended it is.
Right. No, I'm like, okay, so let's say they did. I'm fine. Okay. Interesting history. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Well, okay. The thing is, like, age of consent is something that varies in terms of where it comes from for individual countries. Like in Japan, for a samurai to be a man, he has to go through Genpuku at the age of 15. For the Jewish, of course, you have
yeah, dude,
their
I know what
celebrations.
that is.
It's
That
just
is like,
where's
yeah.
this? And even the Bible talks about age of accountability. So this asinine idea of age of consent is something only feminists put up. You absolute goon! You're sitting there trying to cite other countries. You have no clue about their background or history. Sit down.
Jesus. But yeah, if he really was just doing this for publicity, I gave him a couple of outs I felt on that. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe he's just trying to shock us or some shit like that. No.
Not shocking to us.
He seems
but
he seems pretty genuinely creepy.
no, I like either. But that's the thing. Like, he didn't. He always prefaces this with like, yeah, I was the guy who showed up at a religious thing and was the satanic guy who convinced everyone he meant it. Now, let me talk to you about what I think the age of consent would be.
Yeah,
So
I always
I can't tell if that's a red flag or not. I just can't tell.
Well, you know what? If you're gonna freaking put on that act, I guess. I mean,
I guess he's doing fine. I guess we have fake. I guess we have fake pedophiles in this world now because they like the attention.
I was about to say,
He's so desperate to play a heel.
Jesus.
Oh my God! And
I didn't think
that's
his
the
Twitter
thing,
account
like,
that was that big before it got
dude,
taken
and
down.
no one's like come forward about this guy going like, yeah, he's been creeping on this person or that person. It's all just him. It's all just him having a big mouth about shit.
Give it time.
And thinking like he's gonna be on brand.
Well, people. I mean, there are a couple of people that knew him, but he didn't even have a Kiwi Farms thread. There's a couple of minute, nothing fucking news articles and shit that are from like a local thing.
That I think he planted those. That
I wouldn't have been
article's
shocked. I wouldn't have been
Dude,
shocked.
that article read like he had planted it there, though, and he's like, it was in something. I don't know exactly what it was, but so I don't even know who wrote it. And I was like, I can look at who wrote it, and I think you know who wrote it. And I'm just like, this whole guy is like, this self-styled huckster is like, and you know what? Here's the funny thing. Usually, like, you have to take these small town fools for everything they're worth, but really, it's like, no, you gave Anthony a night full of content, and I guess left town with maybe another person might read your terrible Doctor Who fanfics.
It was really terrible. He literally had female younger characters called pedophilia, hebophilia, and shit.
Eric Roberts,
Lolicon, Amber
like
Alert.
Amber Alert is funny, guys.
I still don't
I'm
get that
stealing that joke. I don't care. Fuck him. I'm stealing his. I'm saying that right now. I'm gonna openly steal that joke. I think like a character named Amber Alert is like.
What does that mean?
You
by
know,
the
they
way?
named the system after her.
It's what they put out when a kid goes missing.
Okay.
Or is
Oh, okay.
abducted.
All right. Do you know what? Okay, no, because here's the thing. Other states, like Western states, all call it Amber Alert because they're fine with going with what California named it. Other states call it early warning system or just fucking highway signs. And it's those light up highway signs that go like, you know, sometimes they'll say like high winds, or they'll just be like, don't trash California, or drive safe, buckle up, or we're gonna catch you if you drive drunk. But then and what they're really intended for, and they were named after and they are not named after their yellow bulbs of an amber color. That's merely a coincidence. Those were just the most high visibility bulbs that existed at the time when this system was created. It's actually named after a kidnapping victim named Amber, who the highway patrol was like, if this early warning system works, and that's who created the child abduction early warning system, or Amber Alert as it's known. And it's actually been like super effective, and not just in like stopping kidnappings, but just general awareness of any sort of criminal activity. So like you'll see them for like bank robberies, like armed suspect wanted, and they'll just put the license plate and the model of the car up on there and be like, call 911 if cited. And usually it's for a child abduction, which is, you know, not to get on this thing, like, you know, it's typically like the girl's dad who's just like, I just want my kid, I'll kill that bitch, and you know, he's been up all night or whatever, and it, you know, maybe it's fair, maybe it's not, but there's enough of that happening, you know, really in a state with unfair fucking family laws, family court laws. There's more kidnapping, so much so that we needed to create a highway early warning system named after an early kidnapping victim, or not an early kidnapping victim, just a kidnapping victim who existed around the time that the fucking highway patrol got this bright idea to come up with this shit.
You said this guy's name is Daniel Rumanos.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to find him on Facebook.
I found a thing for it earlier, but yeah, if you literally, I know it worked on Yahoo when I put in Daniel Rumanos. I got a bunch of goofy websites about him.
Dude, I think and like, you know what's weird, like none of the main fucking places where like that would pick up on serious internet shit have covered him. It all looks like stuff maybe he planted or was very, you know, maybe even just slightly more strategic about, like, yes, I am rather infamous because I put my name out there to make myself seem infamous.
Is this the guy? Is this the guy who says that he's a cult investigator?
He says that was a very hot branding thing for a minute, though.
Okay, then I'm gonna have to say this: like, if you're worried about the occult, maybe you got to go repent.
Do I ever need to breathe? No, I circular breathe, actually, Riddle. That's actually very interesting. I'm actually inhaling while I'm talking. It's a very...
Jen Rome, I got some bad news for you. I didn't even get the chance to go full rage mode. Shame.
Yeah, no, I scared him off before Leo even got a fucking shot at him. It was bullshit.
I didn't know you were that terrifying, Bernie.
I didn't think so. No, apparently I bombarded him with a bunch of...
I agreed for this to be one-on-one. I didn't sign no contract.
No.
You weren't complaining when it started.
And I was like, this was supposed to be one-on-one. Then just talk to Anthony, dude. Like, I don't like...
Here, I'll put this one in the freaking
Fuck that
description.
guy, dude.
This dude's got to be in his 40s by now.
All right. Article.
Oh yeah, no, it's a Doctor Who knockoff.
Daniel
with a bunch of
Ramos,
fucking pedophilia.
you'll never be famous. Listen to me. You're a dumb piece of shit, and no stupid ploy that you come up with. I hope you're still listening.
You could
is
be
never going to work.
You could get
because
arrested.
You're not fucking interesting enough.
You're
just gonna get yourself arrested again.
Someone in the chat here said he's 50.
Oh yeah, you gotta Jack Nolan's age.
Oh.
I was an extra in one of the most big tent revivals of all time.
I also noticed
I'm a professional con man, you see.
I also noticed that RL or LR Blaze never showed up, so I guess he pushed out on me.
Indeed.
I never get what I want.
You keep getting blue balls tonight, Leo.
I know. I was actually about to play Halo and Rouge hit me up.
Yeah, I should have played the new Call of Duty.
I wasn't gonna link to his fucking story thing in the fucking YouTube thing because I was like,
No, don't give this idiot any notoriety.
He's just trying to promote his brand. That's it. Fuck this. He's never.
This is like some honey badger nonsense he's trying to pull.
Yeah.
Here.
well, I know that's why Cass is like, he's like, you're gonna act professional with me, and Cass is like, no, I'm not. And I was like, I'll lie to him. I'll get him on, and then I'll fuck with him after I get his fucking guard down.
I'm famous. A bunch of welfare Christians in the deep, deep South all thought I was satanic once. Yeah. And you know what? They think I'm satanic when I walk into the fucking gas station. And they're right.
Oh, shit.
I love Riddle.
Oh, God, he's
Riddle.
the best.
Riddle's a good boy.
I'm sorry, Riddle. Like, the last time that I had to deal with somebody, freaking Riddle went and played in between me and some creepy pedophile, and Riddle's like, I'm losing my patience with this guy. I'm really...
He's getting hit on.
Riddle, dude.
Oh,
Riddle
yeah, no, I
went front
forgot about
lines
that.
on this. Yeah. Riddle was like, I'm your man. I'm going point man on this one.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and try to play some Halo. I'll take with you guys later.
All right, see ya.
Bye, Leo.
No, Riddle, Anthony told me about that shit last night. I was like, oh, yeah. He's not having it. He's not having it with this guy. He wants blood now. Like,
You want the orange booty.
yeah, dude. Oh, you need to take a shot, dude. I get that feeling. That's fucking welcome aboard, dude. You know the feeling now.
Has that happened
Brony
lots with you,
orgies.
Brony, or what?
Oh, no, some of these animal sex ones, I'm like, motherfucker, I need a shower.
Oh, yeah.
And not because I'm thinking about hot liquid. Like, this is awful. Like, no, like that. Like, there'd be days where we'd be talking about that fucking therapy rarity shit, where it was just like the whole "who is therapy rarity." Like, there'd be days where I'd be like, my acid reflux is killing me, and I just fucking need a shower. I feel like crap right now. Like, yeah, Riddle. I know exactly that fucking because you're a good boy. Because you're a good boy and you don't need this.
There is that other...
love you, man. Love you, man.
I don't think I have the energy after going for like damn near an hour. There's a whole nother fucking furry goddamn atrocity.
Oh, yeah, that
Or are
shit.
you talking about Ollie?
Yes. I don't...
Oh,
Let's save Ollie. That's just a whole
Dude,
fucking
let's
pile.
teaser for next stream. Yeah.
Oh, goddamn.
new furry wonder.
I want to go fresh on this. I want a nice fresh start on that one. That one deserves its own. That one deserves its whole own call. Like I want more.
He was in a very dark place too.
There's a
He was
million
horny
dark,
in a dark
No,
place.
it was a long time ago, all the way back in September. And I don't know if you remember how dark things were in September, dude. Like
Yes,
that
Nelson,
was, I
you
think,
missed it
like
all.
September of 2019. That was months ago, and that was almost 3 months ago.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no, yeah.
I was torn between being professional and I'm like, oh yeah, don't be too professional. He's a dick.
I would have fucking like. I want to slap that dude with my fucking dick. Fuck him. 50-year-old fucking phony, fucking carny piece of shit.
Well, you see, I take a Twizzler, Brony Inspector.
Yes, I know. No, like currently my podcasting studios are ad hoc, and I am in one of Maryland's many self-storage places. But I am writing fan fiction, which is trying to appeal to the audience of minor attracted persons. You see. Dude, I thought you were doing that gig with the fucking traveling church thing. Ah, yes. Well, I suppose we had an amicable parting of the ways. Let's just...
Jesus.
This fucking huckster. I've seen a million of you fuckers. I sell docky pillows. I know what you're doing. I see you. Think you're Don Draper, but you're just another, I don't know. I got nothing. I can't finish that one.
So we went an hour. I'm going to call time a day.
Oh, dude, fucking kill it, please.